Okay, so thanks for joining us today. My name's Cadell. I'm joined today by Trevor Tingy, and today we're going to run through the power of Domo's intelligent apps. So this is really how anyone, regardless of technical skill, can build solutions to rapidly turn insights into intelligent action. So today we're going to be running through how you can build custom solutions without needing to do any code. That's going to cover off why you would want to use our packaged apps to build these solutions, components that go into these custom solutions when you're not needing to do any code. And I'm going to run you through an example of how you can bring that all together as well. And then we're going to pivot over to lightning fast development using the Domo app platform and how you can code your own custom apps. And that's focused more to the development audience or those of you out there who may have development teams in your organization. To give you a bit of background, my name is Cadell Falconer. I'm the Senior Technical Product Manager for Engineering Services. I look after our custom apps and our packaged apps. For those of you out there today who are using apps from Domo, you may know me from things such as Campaigns app, Form Builder, Asset Manager, Inline Editor, a whole lot of other things as well, or if you've used our services for custom apps. And I'm joined today by Trevor. Trevor, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Cadell. I'm the Director of Engineering for Domo's app platform, and I've previously been the Principal Engineer on many of Domo's platform features. I get a lot of enjoyment in my job by building solutions for customers and innovating in ways to drive those solutions and value for our customers at Domo.
Beautiful. And so to kick us off, let's talk about custom solutions without code. So that is that concept of using the applications that my team provide to facilitate your ability to take action inside Domo or automate business processes. So I wanted to start by setting the scene as to why you may do this. Why would you want to assemble a custom solution using our packaged apps? And you would do this when you need people in your organization to take action or provide input, add something into the process. When you need to automate business processes so that you're freeing up the time of your staff and you want things to happen automatically. When you want to consolidate your business system. So that is if you've got a whole bunch of different contracts with different vendors, you've got IT managing a whole bunch of different systems, and you want to reduce the number of those. And the key point here is it's when you want to do that with a non-development resource, when you want a business user or you want an analyst to make these things happen for you. I've got a couple of examples down the bottom there just around, the different things that you could be doing to take action or to automate or when you want to consolidate your systems. Now, these are just examples, so it's much broader than just these things here. But to give you a bit of an idea, you may be looking to update sales forecasts on your different opportunities from your CRM, and you may want to bring that process into Domo to be assigning staff members to different support tickets or different accounts, and then having that action follow on into the rest of their role. You may want to be recording notes or saving notes against particular accounts or customer calls directly into Domo, and then syncing that out elsewhere. Or you may want to be developing a system where your different store managers could be ordering additional stock. All of those things then have an automate function off the back end. So in the case of something like sales forecasting, that may be updating or writing back into your sales CRM to update the opportunity details in that location. If you're assigning staff members to support tickets or to accounts, you may be sending SMS notifications to those staff members to let them know that's happened. If you're recording notes based on your phone calls, you may then automatically process those notes to look for keywords. Send those notes to legal should something trigger a flag. As far as consolidation goes, you may have products that do these functions for you today, and you may want to bring that down. So you could consolidate these functions inside Domo to then be able to deliver them without needing those additional platforms. And that helps to reduce the amount of governance and work that IT also has to perform to maintain all these different solutions. So I wanted to help frame this up and give you an idea of the different components that you need to be able to make this happen. because we're not just talking about deploying an app and now you visit this one app inside Domo. What we're talking about here is building a custom solution, an assembled solution for your very specific problem, using the different functionality that we provide you inside Domo. And doing it this way means you get access to a whole lot of the Domo core features and functionality that you already know and love today, which is things like access, governance, data security, mobile ready, user control. All of those things will automatically happen when you build these solutions in this way. And so to be able to assemble a solution like this, you need a few different parts. And really the story provides you the framework, the jumping off point for building the solution that you're looking at. And on that story, you build out the UI, the user experience that you want your users to have when they are trying to do these things, when they're trying to take this action, or when they're trying to automate these business processes. And so there you would have your cards. Those cards are going to give them information, going to give them the guidance, give them the map about what is happening in your business, give them the options that they can choose from to course correct or to take that action. It's also going to give you things like filter widgets and filter components, which then become interactive elements that adjust the way that the app behaves as well as the other cards. We then use one of these packaged app components or the widgets, and these provide you that input. It's the interface to record an action or to make an action happen. Those apps can also facilitate some of the automation as well. From there, once that input or that action has been taken inside of that app itself, that's obviously going to be written out to a data set somewhere in Domo, and that's where we start to bring in the other Domo functionality. In a whole lot of cases, that's going to be Magic ETL. And Magic ETL is kind of the brains of what you're doing here. And the great thing about using Magic ETL as the brains of wiring this all together is that a business user or an analyst can very easily use Magic ETL to build in, I guess, what you would normally see as a function in an application. And so Magic ETL is serving that purpose of what's going to happen or what automation or what action do I want to occur when a user makes this input. In the case of the legal example I gave before, you have Magic ETL, and inside Magic ETL, you have your searches for those particular words or those particular terms that you want legal to pick up on. That creates an output data set. And then on that output data set, you have data set alerts configured to send that note directly to the legal team for review. Or you could have a write-back connector, and that write-back connector goes and makes API calls to a third-party platform to automatically kick off some task for you. So that gives you an idea of the different components that you need to build this solution without needing to do code. And just to cement that in for you, I've got an example here in this same framework before I jump over into a live demonstration of what you would need to build a very basic sales forecasting example. And so here, what we've done is I've created a story called Sales Pipeline Forecasting. And then on that story, I have my cards which show me the different opportunities that are in my pipeline, or rather the different opportunities that are in anyone's pipeline, because I'm then leveraging and relying on the built-in functionality like PDP to automatically restrict it to the individual's forecast. So I can see what's going on in my business as a rep. I can see my opportunities, I can see where they're at, I can see their value. And then to enable me to take action and input something here, I'm using the packaged app inline editing, which is an app from my team, which allows you to modify and add to underlying data sets. And that inline editing app is providing the functionality for me to be able to submit my forecast. So from here, I can change the forecast category for those different opportunities I have. I can update the dollar value on those opportunities, and I can write that out to the data set. When I hit that button, that's me submitting my forecast. That goes through into Magic ETL, where I, as a business user, have set up my logic to control what then happens. So inside Magic ETL, maybe I write out the forecast submissions to a data set to track my historical data set changes, so I can see, what I submit last week, what I submit this week. Maybe I also have an alert on that data set to send an update to my manager if my forecast suddenly changes. And I've been able to do all of that without needing to do any code. It's all in Magic ETL. Then the next piece is maybe I have another data set that I then connect to a write-back connector to update the source system, to update that CRM, where this information was originally coming from. And then I loop that all back together into the cards so that I, as the rep, can see these updates happening. So I've been able to build this solution just using the drag and drop and the configurable components from inside Domo. And then all of that functionality automatically applies on top of it. So my reps who are in the sales group now have access to this because I've shared the story with my sales group. PDP means they'll only see their opportunities and only see their forecasts and only be able to modify their forecasts. And it's also immediately available on all of my sales reps' mobile devices because they've already got the Domo app on their phones. So you can see how it's quite a powerful solution to be able to do this. And so now I want to take you through a live demonstration of where I've built a shift rostering or a shift scheduling system. In this system, it enables my users to be able to see all of the different shifts that are coming up for our factory based on the inputs from our production system, those customer orders coming through, right? All of the different things that we need to now go and manufacture based on the needs of my business. And from the shift rostering dashboard, I can assign the number of staff members to those different shifts and have everyone in the organization be aware of what's going on, including those people who are obviously being rostered on for work. So to be able to build a solution like this, on the right-hand side there, I have listed out the different things that you would need. These generally will stay the same, just changing in and out different functionality or different source systems or different app components based on what your specific needs are. But for this example, what you're going to need is a data set which provides you with the details of how many people you need for your shifts or when the shifts are at least. You're going to need a data set of all your different staff as well who could work those shifts. Then from the packaged app side, what you're going to be using is form builder and inline editing. And if you need to, or if you want to, you could also use Campaign's app if your staff members who you're assigning to these shifts don't have Domo access. For the intelligence in this system, I'm just using Magic ETL and the data sets that come out the other side of it. And the output or the result of doing this means that I'm going to have a data set of all of those different shifts, all of those different staff members on those shifts. I'm also going to have notifications firing out to my staff members when they've been assigned to a shift or when their shift has been canceled, as well as my team leaders. And I'm going to now have this whole dashboard where I can see all of my needs and take intelligent action, which triggers automation off the back end. So I'm going to jump into this example for you now. Here what we have is my shift rostering dashboard, which I've put together. So as a business user, let's say I am the person who is looking at all the needs of my upcoming manufacturing process for our factory. I jump into this dashboard inside Domo, whether that's on my phone or whether that's in the office on the computer, and I can see all of my upcoming shifts. I can see who is running those shifts. I can see how many staff they need, how many staff are rostered on. I have the information that I need to be able to start thinking about the action that I want to take. I can see all of the different staff that have shifts this week, how many shifts they have, who they're doing those shifts for, where they're working, when they're working. And looking at my next 7-day shifts, I can see that I've got a couple of big gaps here. So I have a whole lot of staff that need to be working and a whole lot that I haven't rostered on to work. Let's take the 4th. So if I go and select this, you'll see everything on my dashboard has now refreshed, as you would expect. And you can see I've got 0 staff rostered. I can see those shifts here and I can see who's running those shifts. So now I need to take action and I need to assign some staff to those shifts. So what I've got here is an instance of Form Builder. And in this instance of Form Builder, I've built a form for me to complete to be able to assign those staff members. So I can select my shift date and you'll see because of those cards around my app, it's already filtered to the specific day that I'm looking at. It's filtered my app as well down to the 4th. So I'll select that shift date. I'll select the shift that I'm planning on assigning staff to. Let's start with Kumar's shift, the AM shift. So I'll select AM and Kumar. And now I'm going to choose some staff to work. So we know Kumar needs 3 staff members. So I'll go ahead and choose some of my available staff from my list here. So we can see on the 4th, I'm assigning to the AM shift for Kumar these 3 staff members and hit the submit button. That's going to write out to a data set, which I've connected to Magic ETL, which will produce a rostering data set out the backside, and that data set will send an SMS notification to those staff members which I've just rostered. So after coming back to my page, let's go ahead and filter back to the 4th again. I can see here that shift we were looking at where Kumar needed 3 staff. He's now got 3 staff assigned. Those staff members have received the notification, the alert that they need to do something, and can now attend work on that particular day to fill that particular shift, all directly from within Domo, all built by a business user, all using functionality which doesn't require you to perform any code. All of this, again, has those features, the governance concepts, the data security concepts built in. So we may even want to provide this dashboard to our team leaders to be able to assign staff for themselves. And if that was the case, this would automatically be filtered using PDP, using governance, using security down to only their shifts and only the staff that they were perhaps allowed to or enabled to assign to their different shifts. Now, let's say we have a situation come up that someone's sick or they're away and we need to cancel them or remove them from that shift. Well, how would we do that? If I come down to the bottom of this page, I've used inline editor here to be able to see the staff that have been rostered on for that particular shift. Again, this is automatically filtered because of the way that Domo works. It's all wired together based on my selection that we saw earlier. So I can see that on the 4th, for Kumar's shift, we've got Ben, but Ben can't attend work that day. So I've created this column called Shift Cancelled. I can select Cancel Rostering, and inside my Magic ETL data flow, I have a little flag that checks for that, just using the filter inside Magic ETL. Nice and easy to configure. And if a staff member has cancelled rostering next to their name, it's going to send them a different SMS to let them know that that shift has been cancelled. It's also going to pull them out of my output data set, out of my roster data set, so that we can see that we need to replace them with someone. So I'll go ahead and update that. That's now happened, so that will cancel his shift, and now let's replace it with someone else. So we'll select the details of my shift, and now let's go ahead and put Dana on. Submit that there. And so in a couple of clicks, I've canceled someone's shift, they've been alerted that it's been canceled, and I've assigned someone new to take over for that empty position. Everyone in that cycle is aware that this is happening, and we have a record of it all occurring. So it's all automated, and it's all enabling me as the user to be able to take this action. And so now if I jump over to my Magic ETL, my brain's behind this solution, this is all it's needed to do it. And this is what you would normally need to code. This would be all of the different functions that you would write directly into your app or into your solution. And all I'm doing here is bringing in a couple of different data sets and outputting a new data set. I have the responses here from my form builder. I have my input data set with the needs of my factory. I'm joining them together. I've got a couple of filters to check for different things and kick off specific actions. And then I create that output data set here. And that output data set is what provides the alerts to the different members of my team. Or if you wanted to integrate into another platform, would be where you could then execute your writebacks from. It's all drag and drop. It's all easily configurable directly with the GUI here. You can click through and set up the different things to operate the way that you need without needing to do any code at all. So it saves you a whole lot of time, and it really empowers your business users, your analysts, to be able to build these solutions themselves. And so I'm going to jump back into the presentation now, and we're going to move from talking about using packaged apps to build these solutions, the non-development aspect, and we're going to move into coding our own custom apps. And that's where Trev's going to jump in. Trev?
Yeah, thanks, Cadell. It's great. Some really good examples there that I want to dig into a little bit more and show how you can create custom versions of some of the same kind of functionality or architecture that Cadell has shown already. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about how we can build solutions using custom development and code. So why would I want to use Domo to build a custom app? And I get that question frequently. The power of Domo is that you have a single platform to run your whole business. So bringing your applications into that single platform drives a lot of value, especially for the business user. The integration of all your core business systems. Domo does such a great job of bringing the data together from all of your different systems wherever it lives. The functionality is designed to empower business users. For example, sometimes your users are not sitting in front of a computer. They're less technical, and you'd want to target them. Domo is also automatically secured, governed, and distributed. A lot about what Cadell talked about demonstrated that. It's built into the Domo platform, and you get to take advantage of it with your apps. Domo is also massively flexible with rapid time to value. We're going to show you how you can do this quickly with a lot less setup and a lot less work from the developer side, and that gives you your time to value in a powerful way. So the key to fast, low-code app development is Domo's app platform combined with the Domo platform. When you're building an application, typically it takes several steps. And I just want to point out that you don't have to do all of this with Domo. And that's where the value comes from as far as delivering your applications quickly. So you don't have to set up your hardware. You don't have to set up servers, applications, how you're going to distribute those applications, your custom apps. And here, applications refers to configuring your custom software, server software, databases. You've got file storage, database storage, optimizing those pieces. And then after you get all those pieces in place, now you can talk about bringing users into your system and security. How do you secure those users and what they can access in the apps and the databases and the files that you've built? With Domo, you don't have to worry about it because you don't start at the bottom. You start up here at the top, because so much of this is already built into Domo. We have user management built in. We have AppDB. It's a custom database for your application per application. We give you file storage for free out of the box. You get Domo Actions, which kind of replaces this need for services to run. And then another big piece of the servers and the applications is just the Domo data platform itself. As Cadell showed you, there's so many pieces in there that you can take advantage of when you build an app. He didn't even have to build the app to take advantage of those pieces. He's getting that for free with packaged apps. We're going to show you how to build those little applications as well and take advantage of the same things that his packaged apps are taking advantage of. So let me show you a demo. What I want to show you how to build is a simple app widget that you can throw onto a story in Domo and be able to take notes that you add to a sales opportunity right from a Domo story. So Domo does a couple things for us. I've already installed the tooling, but you install this package that we call Domo, and then we can start getting going. You can go to developer.domo.com to get started with installing those pieces you need. I'm going to use them right here on my command line inside of my code editor. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new application with the command Domo init. Let's call it note taking. We're going to do a simple hello world type app, and then we're going to add to it. I'm going to connect it to my existing data set in my instance of Domo that has opportunities in it. So I'm going to say, yes, let's add a data set. And then I'm going to copy in my data set ID. And we're going to call it opportunities. And that's all we need for this one. So now I'm going to follow these steps. I'm going to go into that directory. And then we're going to open those files and start editing. Okay, so what we're looking at here now is the files that Domo created for you right out of the box. We have a manifest file. You can go to the documentation and see all these pieces, but I'm just going to mention in here, it's already added this data set that we need to be able to connect to, called opportunities. As you saw with Cadell, he was capturing data from the app, so I'm going to add in some pieces to be able to do that. This is where we start to get into AppDB. This is how easy it is to add access to a database right inside of your app. I'm going to copy in the configuration so you don't have to watch me type it all out. So let me just discuss really quick what this is. We're calling it notes. This is where we're going to write the note. We're going to have a note ID column. That's a general way of building an app. You add an ID column there. We're going to add the opportunity ID so we know which note we're adding this opportunity to. We're going to add a title, a body, and then whether the note is private or not. This last property here just says whether we want to sync it to a data set, a Domo data set. The answer is yes, and I'll explain why. The point here is that we're going to write this data to AppDB. We're going to sync it to a Domo data set, and then we're going to connect that Domo data set to a write back connector for Salesforce. So I'm going to save this. And then before we get going any further, I'm going to upload my app to Domo. I'm already authenticated into my instance. It is asking me to add a thumbnail, so I'll do that real quickly. Okay, I've added a thumbnail here. We're going to upload it with a thumbnail this time so we can see what that looks like. It's giving me a link right here, so I can go take a look at that. And you'll see now we have an app that we can start working with. It doesn't do anything yet, except that it's created our database, the AppDB database. So let's go back to the code. And we're going to now start developing locally so you can see the changes as you do it. We're going to do a Domo dev. That's going to open up a browser that we can use to start seeing the changes in our application as we start making those changes. Okay, so what you can see here is that we have a very simple app. It doesn't do anything except it has this note-taking title on it. So we're going to go make some changes to that, see if we can get some functionality built. Back to code. So what I want to do is let's add a little bit of markup, a little bit of HTML right into this index.html file. I'm going to do a very simple version of the code today. You can do this however you want. If you have a JavaScript framework that you like to use, you can use that as well. I just want this demonstration to be as straightforward and simple as possible. I'm going to actually take some code I've already written and I'll explain it. It doesn't do a lot, so it's easy to walk through. It should look familiar to most. This is simple HTML. I'm going to add a header that tells us what we're doing so you can see it in the app, add notes to an opportunity. These are for some messages, just so that we can turn those on and off as we save our data. So we can show saving, we can show that it's saved, and then we can hide it. This is where the work is done. In the input, you're going to type in your title. As you can see, the placeholder says title. The placeholder here says notes. And these are just where we're going to type in those pieces. And then there's a button at the bottom where we're going to add the note. So let's save that. And then we need to do some JavaScript. We're going to wire up the actions that are being taken. Let's open up our app.js here. You'll see that it already has the ability to pull down the data that we wired up to our data set. We're not going to worry about this in this case, for this use case. So I'm just going to delete that. And then let's start building some functionality. So out of the box, what we want to do first is say that when the app loads, let's make sure that we start adding our event handlers so that we can take action after it's loaded. So this is a simple way to say when the page has finished loading, we're going to go grab that add note button and we're going to say what to do when someone clicks on that button. So then the next step is let's just add the function called add note. So first let's think about what a note looks like. And we actually refer back to our manifest of what we want to store. So there's a couple of pieces here. We want to store a note ID, opportunity ID, title, body, and private. So let's just create that object in typical JSON format for JavaScript notation. Looks like this. You're creating a note object, and it has these simple properties. So we need to get these values from our HTML. So let's go grab them. Okay, so these two lines allow us to go get the elements that hold the node title and the node body. And then we're going to take the values of those and assign it inside our node. We still need to get the opportunity ID. So let me show you that as well. And let's just write a function that'll do it for us. But we're going to take advantage of some things built into the Domo platform to do, the app platform to do that. So let's call it get opportunity ID from filter. One thing you saw Cadell do when he was demonstrating was that he filtered his story by clicking on something inside of his app or inside of a cart. So in this case, we're going to respond to that filter and we're going to go grab it. So when you filter your story down to an opportunity, we're going to take that opportunity ID and we're going to plug it into our node so that we can use that to add. Okay, so let's just add a function for that. Get opportunity from filter. And the first thing we're going to do is take it off the filter. And the filters for our app comes off of the domo.env property, and there's documentation for that in developer.domo.com. So we're just going to take that. If it exists, we're going to parse it into JavaScript, domo.env.analyzer. And then we're just going to find the one we're looking for. And in this case, in our data set, it's called opportunity ID. So if you click on something that uses the opportunity ID, we're going to grab that filter. That's what we're creating this object here. So let's now return that. And what we really want is the value. So we're going to filter it. If we've got a filter, we're going to go grab the values. Otherwise, just keep it empty. So now when we run through this code to add a note, it's going to go grab our opportunity. We're going to assign it the ID right here and add it to our note. Let's just say that when we're going to save this, we want to tell them we're saving it. So we're just going to show the saving. So let's go grab this. Let's go grab those from the HTML. You'll notice that here it's called saving. So I'll go grab the saving, and we might as well grab saved at the same time so that we can manipulate those. And actually, let's do an error state as well. So I'm going to go grab those pieces. Right up here by when we grab the title and the body. So now we can use these objects and we can manipulate them to show messaging. And so now let's actually create the note. And this is how we do AppDB. So I'm going to keep it simple. Let's write the function actually. So we're going to create a function called create note. And it's going to take in that note object that we created up above. And then we're going to call a Domo endpoint that we've created for you to access your AppDB. Notice that the name here for the collection is called notes, which is what we defined in our manifest, notes collection. And we're going to post a new note to it. Here's the value of content is that note object, right? Okay, save it. And then let's call it. Pass the note object, and then we're going to respond when it's done, just to message back to the user that we've done that work. So in here we're dealing with promises, and don't get too intimidated by that, but it just says when it's done, do something. And so let's abstract this out as well. So I'm just going to simplify this. We're going to paste some code in here that really just does the messaging. And then it clears the saved values on success. If it fails, we're going to catch that and we're going to put an error message out there. So let's create these functions. I'm just going to paste them in so we don't have to deal with it. Just some error handling. Hit save. And then I'm just going to paste in some CSS so that it looks good. So just some CSS I've already done, some styling. And as you notice down here in the bottom, every time I save, it's reloading the browser. So let's go take a look and see what that looks like. As you can see, it's looking pretty decent. We've got some functionality. I can hit save if I want. It won't work because I don't have any opportunities here. And what I'm going to do is publish it, and let's see what it looks like inside of Domo. With the Domo publish command again. Okay, great. Let's go out to Domo and see what we've got. Okay, so we've got the Notes app out here. We can create a card off of that. I've already done it to shorten our time here. And I'm going to show you now how we're going to connect that up to a story. So I've got a simple story here that shows some sales data, our pipeline. Down here at the bottom, we've got a table that shows our opportunities and opportunity ID over here that we can use for filtering. So I'm just going to throw that app in right here up above. So let's go ahead and edit this story. And we'll create a new card right here in my story. And I did this beforehand to make it simpler. Okay, and there's our app. So let's just shrink that up. We don't need all that space. I did make my app so that it could, depending on how much space you give it, it can adjust accordingly. Like Cadell mentioned, this is mobile ready out of the box because we're throwing it on a story. And as long as the app can correspond to the space that it has, we're going to be able to use it right on your phone or on your iPad. So at this point, let's hit save. And let's check it out. So I'm going to click on an opportunity down here and you'll notice that it'll filter the story. And there's a little icon here that says it filtered my app as well, which means we're now filtered to an opportunity. I'm just going to create a note here. Let's make an update for the day. Looks like we need to follow up on the paperwork. We're going to hit save. And we're done. So what I've done is shown with a couple lines of code how we can custom interact with a story and then write that data back into AppDB, which is now syncing to a data set. It syncs by default on every 15 minutes, and that can be used in multiple ways, like what Cadell mentioned. It's capturing the data, and if you want, you can send it back to Domo, and Domo will create data sets out of it, and that's what we're doing here. So we're going to take that data set now and we're going to connect it to a write-back data set. So let me show you how to do that. I feel like this is something that should be demonstrated because it's so powerful. And Cadell mentioned it as well. So I'm going to take you over to this write-back connector for Salesforce. So I'm going to select credentials that I already have for Salesforce. And then we're going to set up our details and I'll show how this connects the two pieces. We're going to do an insert or update. And what this allows us to do is either add a note or edit a note. And we're just going to take that data set. Let me go show you where the data set synced to inside of the data center. So if we look at the data sets that were created by me, you'll notice that the most recent one is right here. And we're just going to take that data set ID. And actually, let's go take the one that I've already used. So let's do this one. It has a document in it. And I'm just going to grab the data set ID right here. I'm going to plug that into a write-back connector. We're finishing wiring this up. We're connecting the write-back connector to our data set that we've created with the app. And once we've hit save on that, then every time we write a note through the app that we built, it will write back to AppDB, which will write to our data set. And Domo then takes care of making sure that gets written back to Salesforce with the write-back connector. So what we've shown you today is the ability to build packaged apps as well as custom apps to provide solutions for your business. There are some materials you can download alongside this presentation. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us and visit developer.domo.com. And if you are interested in any of the packaged apps that Cadell was demonstrating earlier, reach out to your account team.
Awesome, thanks for that, Trev. If you want some more information about what you've heard Trevor and I speak about today, as far as the development items which Trev shared with us, the best place for you to go would be to go to developer.domo.com, or if you'd like help getting access to the packaged apps, which I spoke about during my section of the presentation, speak to your account team and they'll be able to either hook you up with myself or at least direct you into the right place to be able to get access to those. Thank you very much, everyone. Trev, was there any closing remarks you wanted to make there?
No, I just want to say thanks to everyone for watching us and learning with us a little bit how to use Domo.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys.